I have a dashcam and sometimes I upload videos of dumb things I see to the internet. Anyway, I was driving home from work a few days ago and saw a really expensive Audi cut across 3 lanes in one move and cut into the exit lane I was in, barely squeezing in between me and the start of the barrier. I slammed the brakes and there wasn't any accident, but it shook me up. It was the closest call I've ever had. The driver pulled off into a gas station and I pulled over by the side of the road so I could turn my dashcam and get a clear video of the driver's face as he pumped gas so I could confirm his identity. I had been wanting to make a report for reckless driving because the guy had almost caused a really bad accident. I had never reported something before, but this was probably the scariest close call I'd ever had and I thought it would be a good idea too. I reported it to the police non-emergency line and they said they'd get back to me, but I didn't hear anything yet. I also put the video on the internet titled "Crazy Audi Driver in Hometown Name." Anyway, a few days later, someone commented on the video saying that was the mayor. I didn't believe it at first, but then I looked up pictures of him and was certain. It was definitely the same guy, he'd even been photographed by a local reporter near his Audi. I edited the video title and description and said that it was the mayor of the town. And I guess, because it's such a small town and the video got shared around, it's one of the earlier results if you look this guy up. It's apparently gotten shared in some Facebook groups like a local mothers group and a community group, and the guy is getting a lot of crap for it. I didn't see the reposts myself, I'm not on Facebook. But I got a call from one of the mayor's employees asking me to take the video down. I said I'd like to talk to the guy, like I wanted to just have a chat with the person who nearly killed me and then wouldn't even call me himself to apologize. And she got really defensive, but also formal, like I'm afraid that isn't possible at the moment. Anyway, some of my coworkers think it was kind of crappy of me to follow the guy, film him, and put his name on the internet. And I guess I get that, but I also feel like as a public figure and a representative this guy should be held to a higher standard. Am I the idiot for leaving the video of the mayor driving like an idiot up on the internet? Because he's a public servant, he's held up to higher standards, he also doesn't have the same expectation of privacy. Everyone has bad days, or even days when for one reason or another they were distracted when they shouldn't be. If he had called you himself, apologized, and had been compassionate, I might feel different. Leave it up, he's shown you more than once what kind of person he is. I think his community needs to see it too. Not the idiot. Is there such a thing as a retroactive not the idiot? I feel like it was kind of a crap move to put a stranger's face on the internet without their consent. If it had been just some Joe something, I'd say you were an idiot for not just putting the bit with the car up or blurring his face or something. But a public servant is different and doesn't have the same expectation of privacy. I'd say this is a net good, even if you aren't exactly a moral paragon for doing it before you knew it was the mayor. People deserve to know what kind of person they have in office. Not the idiot. If he was so embarrassed or upset about his reputation, you know what would have solved that. Apologized to you, taken a safety course, then filmed his own video to upload where he admitted he did something unsafe, put some of his own citizens at risk, and apologized to the city and you, then shared what he learned in the safety course. He would have shown accountability and, as a community leader, shown by example what you do when you mess up: apologies, make it right, then do better. I, 24, recently showed up unsolicited to a couple's event my fiancée, 27, was invited to in a professional capacity. She is currently very pissed at me. My fiancée is an attorney. She's been working at a firm for some time since graduating law school. Every year the local bar association organizes this event where attorneys from the area are invited to network and see some old pals from college. The invitation also goes out to the partner of said attorney. Last year I went together with her and had a merry good old time. I saw some guys there who also work at her firm that frequent the performance engine shop where I work as a mechanic. We share similar interests and we pretty much hit it off immediately. We still hang out every now and then. The event got pretty rowdy towards the end. Contrary to popular belief, a lot of these attorney types aren't the goody two-shoes they pretend to be, and I, amongst others, ended up on stage singing to classics such as Journey's Don't Stop Believing. Freaking love that song. However, my fiancée ended up experiencing that night very differently. She pretty much went off by herself during the entire thing. She told me she spent the night networking with a few established attorneys and some old acquaintances. She also told me she got a bit embarrassed by my actions towards the end and that she would like to put on a professional demeanor in front of her colleagues and expected that of me too. Now, mind you, we often go off the deep end in the weekends and she doesn't have a problem with me acting like the fool I am then. So last week when I mentioned how excited I was to go with her again this year, she flat out rejected me. She told me I wouldn't be able to properly behave myself in front of her fellow members of the bar and that was that. I tried promising her that I would be on my best behavior, but no means no, was the final answer. Why would you be embarrassed of going to an event with your significant other just for being the person he is? Certainly, if that very partner promises to be as innocent as grace itself. The event is literally meant for couples. Initially, I wasn't gonna go, but my newfound friends WhatsApped me, and I thought to hell with it. So I got there early, joined up with them, saying she was gonna run late, texted her, had a few drinks, and when she arrived almost got dragged out of the party. I got stomped into my car with strict guidelines to go home and was whipped into motion. Not wanting to make a scene, I drove off, got 2 honey butter chicken biscuits from Whataburger, and spent the rest of the night Netflixing. Fun times. A week later she is still pissed as hell at me for not respecting her boundaries. I've been sleeping on the couch since then. In the meanwhile, I can sort of find the humor in her not wanting to lose face in front of her fancy pants colleagues because of her oddball. It truly isn't that bad though, fiancé. But she still can't. Am I the idiot? You're the idiot. Everyone has outlined every reason why, embarrassing her at a formal function, behaving in a very obnoxious manner, and not being there to support her as you are meant to do in what is essential, a couple's networking event. Turning up despite her explicitly saying no makes you a major arse. What really annoys me though, is the fact that you're trying to write this off as you being wacky or a goofball. The tone of the post makes me gag. You're the idiot. She didn't want you there. You embarrassed her. And then when she expressed her feelings, you brushed them off because they don't seem to matter to you. She should just have to deal with it because it's just who you are. Then you disrespected her feelings even further by doing back to the place where the original embarrassment occurred and embarrassing her again. That's pretty much straight up idiot behavior if I've ever seen it. You owe her an apology. You are the idiot for all the reasons people have mentioned. Please remember that we do not live in an equal world. She has almost certainly had to work harder than her male colleagues to gain respect and to be taken seriously. You jeopardized that work by acting a fool at an event that was there for her to network and build relationships with her peers. She does not get given the free pass that male colleagues do when they fool around. Your behavior reflects on her. I, 26, have a cousin, 21, let's call her Jane, not a real name, who I've been very close to growing up. She is a ridiculously picky eater. I think it's a result of her being very coddled and kinda spoiled. She straight up refuses to eat any fruits or vegetables, no fresh herbs, no mushrooms or legumes. Only meat, rice, pasta, and potatoes. This has stopped her from being able to go to most restaurants and travel because she doesn't trust that the meals wouldn't have vegetables hidden in them. When she visited us, we always had to buy extra foods for her. Now cue to my wedding, which is already planned and paid for, but had to be postponed due to COVID. Both me and my fiancé are vegetarians, so our menu is vegetarian, and every meal offered contains vegetables or legumes. Even our wedding cake has berries in it. I haven't done this on purpose, I've been living away from home for years, so I totally forgot about Jane's picky eating and didn't expect her to carry this into adulthood. I sent the wedding menu to my mom, and she shown it to my aunt, Jane's mom. Straight away I got a call from an aunt asking if that is the final menu and how we are going to be accommodating Jane's preferences. I was a little taken aback and offered her some ideas, but she turned all of them down. So I gave up and said that unless Jane is okay with just some roasted potatoes, I frankly don't know. My aunt proceeded to grill me, saying that it's really disrespectful towards their family and that I should be able to serve her some meat. I got ticked and told her that her demand is ridiculous, especially since this isn't due to allergy, but because of picky eating, and hung up. A lot of relatives are heavy meat eaters, and nothing would stop them from demanding meat if they saw someone else getting it. Also, we just don't want to be serving meat on our wedding that we pay for ourselves. My parents and partner are on my side, but some friends said I should have figured something out and that it's selfish to not care about Jane's comfort at my wedding. I tried to talk to Jane, but she had pretty much the same attitude as her mom, turned down ideas, and said that it's just the way she is. I have been very puzzled because I like Jane, but at the same time, I think it's ridiculous. So would I be the idiot if I just kept my wedding menu as it is and caused that she will be able to only eat potatoes? Not the idiot. She doesn't have allergies, she has preferences. Someone who's that picky is surely used to bringing her own food places. If she chooses to pack granola bars in her purse, don't say anything. But you can't accommodate everyone's preferences. And no offense, she's a cousin, not one of your parents. The only suggestion I'd be willing to make is if your venue offers a kid's meal they'd allow her to have. Typically those are chicken fingers and fries or something. If she chooses not to attend, don't worry. Post amazing pictures of your wedding and let her be jealous. Not the idiot. As a picky eater or person with food sensitivities, I understand the frustration of not being able to eat at weddings. However, this is Jane's fault as she has the food preferences of a 4-year-old. If it were me, I'd tell her this is a child-free wedding, I plan on having one, so she won't be able to attend since she wants to be a toddler. The last wedding I went to I was unable to eat more than a plate of roasted potatoes because I had a tooth pulled. I simply got food I could eat on the way home so I didn't starve. Not the idiot. I have a cousin who is vegan. She brings her own food to events such as weddings. She takes responsibility for her dietary choices. I too am a picky eater, though not that bad. I went to another cousin's wedding at a fairly ritzy place. I think I ate one thing off of the menu. I went through a drive-thru on the way home. There are plenty of options that your cousin has available to her. Asking vegetarians to serve meat is not one of them. I'm a very girly sort of woman, much to the eye-rolling eternal distress of my sister, who believes that anyone who enjoys or wears makeup is childish and immature. I buy and use a lot of expensive makeup, and my sister has always made it clear that she doesn't get it and that I'm wasting money. We live on separate sides of the United States, but recently we came together because our cousin is getting married and we are very close to her. My mom was holding a pre-wedding bash in the backyard in honor of my cousin and her fiancé, and there was a professional photographer, so obviously, I busted out all my expensive makeup when I flew over to look my best. My sister came into the room that I was getting ready in because a lot of my aunts and my mom and cousins had asked if they could borrow my makeup, and I had said yes being as I had bought some of this stuff knowing my family would want to share it. I'm not precious over stuff like that because everything I bought I could easily sanitize down. So anyway, my sister comes into the room with her 4 years old and straight plops her kid down in the middle of all my makeup where I was sat and said, "Here Lacey, play with all the fun paints." At first, all our family thought it was really cute and someone suggested a picture of her in between the makeup, but I immediately was annoyed and said no, move her, it's not to be played with. My aunts and mom also changed tune pretty fast because she'd started digging her fingers into eyeshadows and also told her to move her daughter away. I think it was a combo of stress, lots of people were asking me to put makeup on them when I was trying to also get ready myself, and annoyance over my sister's clear disdain for my hobbies that caused me to snap at her, but she grabbed her kid and left. Much later on she told me that I ruined her day and that I'd made her cry and that there was no need for me to have snapped in front of all our family and friends like that when she was just trying to include her daughter. Am I the idiot because I snapped? I feel it was appropriate given the situation, but I do feel bad also. Not the idiot, and she is. It's your stuff, and they are not durable in the hands of a 4-year-old. She knows that they matter to you, no matter how much derision she has for the practice of using makeup. When the situation escalated, you reacted as I would have expected a person to react based on the evidence provided. After the smoke cleared, she tried to guilt trip you into feeling pity for her. She was not trying to include her daughter. She was trying to make it well known that she does not care for your belongings or for your hobby. Not the idiot. Your sister knows very well that makeup is a hobby of yours, and no matter how expensive your makeup is, a child should never just play with someone else's belongings, especially if it's not a toy. She could have encouraged her daughter to ask nicely if you can help her with some makeup, to have the kid join the preparations for the photo shooting. She didn't because she didn't care, and her making you feel bad or trying to guilt you into feeling bad is just a method of not having to admit it was her fault. Your sister is the one who's rude. She basically equated your expensive makeup to finger paint that can be bought at the dollar store. It's not a cheap toy for her daughter to play with. And allowing her daughter to dig her fingers into the pallets is destructive and unsanitary. If she wanted her kid to be included, she could have brought her some crayons and paper to draw with, or at the very least supervised her child. Someone needed to give her a kick in the pants, it just happened to be you. When my son was 5 years old, he received extensive facial and upper chest burns due to an accident caused by my father. Even with surgeries, the scarring is noticeable. My wife and I were naturally devastated at the time, but recognized that my father made a terrible mistake and we forgave him. Only us, we didn't speak for our son. Our son is now 16 and over the years, we have always told him the truth about the accident and have had him in regular counseling. He has seemingly understood and has been accepting and forgiving of his grandfather. Or so we thought. For the past few weeks, our son is telling us we need to literally excommunicate his grandfather. My wife and I offered a compromise where our son won't be made to be around his grandfather. We also won't bring him up in front of our son. Our son has refused this compromise and is demanding we cut off my father completely and never contact him again, his siblings included. He's also accusing us of being bad parents for not agreeing with him. His siblings have gotten involved and are on their grandfather's side. And this has hurt our son very deeply. He refuses to talk to his therapist or us until we give in to his demand. We don't expect our son to forgive his grandfather. But I don't think us cutting my father off will punish him any more than he has punished himself. He has been dealing with a lot of guilt over the years and has been dealing with depression. He has also been working past retirement and been putting all his money and property in our son's name as a sort of penance. He refuses to go on vacations, and a man who used to be full of laughter has become a shell of the person he used to be. My mother passed away last year. I don't think my father will be able to live through losing the only family he has left. But at the same time my son is deeply unhappy and angry, and it's not his fault in any way. My wife and I are very conflicted. It seems like a difficult choice, but we've gone with the therapist's suggestion and stuck with our compromise. We won't force our son to have a relationship with his grandfather, but we will continue to maintain ours. Our son has isolated himself from the entire family as a result. I'm not sure if I made the right decision. I had a friend tell me we made the wrong choice. That we are indirectly punishing the innocent party. Are we the idiots? Not the idiot. I feel bad for calling your son the idiot here, and it's just over the line between that and no idiots here. He refuses to talk to his therapist or us until we give in to his demand. The kid is 16, he's old enough to understand what manipulation is, and he's doing it. Also, refusing to talk to a therapist isn't good. Something obviously changed that made him go to forgiving to the nuclear option. If he can't talk to you about it, fine, but refusing to talk to a therapist is an issue. Your son is entitled to his emotions, his anger. He has to live with this for the rest of his life and should be allowed to work through this on his own terms. You are in an impossible situation, but honestly, your father is an adult. Your son is still a child, even if he is in the last parts of childhood. That to me gives him priority. You need to speak to your son and ask why now. What happened? Why did he get so angry all of a sudden? And maybe talk to your father about it. Don't lie to your son, but also don't just cut off your father. No idiots here. Maybe keep in mind that sudden shifts in behavior don't come from nothing. If he went from seeming like he had reconciled with a grandfather to wanting him cut out of his and others' lives, something likely happened. My guess, as others have also suggested, is that the ridicule over his scars has either increased or there was a particular instance that was really severe, at least in his mind. Have you asked his siblings if they've noticed any changes in his behavior or in how the other kids treat him?